So excellent. Yes, he is. He will live. And so I don't want to take too much more time with this because it's too much fun, and I would. But the fact is that you will find out about her twins who had been exiled, or actually had been not exiled, had been taken away so that they would not be killed, and that their names are, of no surprise, Sisabel and Sisiva. And so this was about 100 years ago. Um, and it is unusual. I mean, you were this information has been kept from people of your generation. The next generation of dusters were not educated as to these events, and so the track that you would follow would be to where Sisvel actually seems to have high status in one of the tribes that lives closer to the river, which has brought you to this place. Um, so that would lead us finally to Sam. And so I guess what we probably should do is say a little bit about what it's like for Farith, coming to this tribe, meeting Sisavel, who, if anything, is if if anything is at least as forceful and present a personality as his sister. But the important point being that he is uh, uh, he actually defeated an older duster in combat in order to take the status um, of a war leader for this tribe. He is particularly savage toward other duster tribes. He does not maintain good relations with them. He has expanded the territory of this tribe. He has taken over areas that were shared hunting grounds, but now they cannot hunt there. He has a group of young dusters who treat their territories as under attack by others. So therefore, they conduct low-level, ongoing, seasonal raids and wars against other duster tribes. Um, and and so it's a warlike bunch. I mean, these are guys who have, they're scarred. They have a lot of regard for each other as fellow warriors. They regard outsiders as potential threats. But they don't look that way toward their contact with humans because they have a fairly profitable and advantageous relationship with the human communities. So therefore, you going there with the message from your sister, you don't really, I mean, it's their hostilities are directed outward toward other duster tribes, not so much toward the human communities. Still, in all, you living there with them, by permission, is a little bit unusual, and it may take you a little while, well, it's bedtime. Everybody turns into snakes and wriggles into the ground. You're like,
yeah. What I was thinking of attempting to do is to invest whatever I have left from my work into bringing as much as those commodities that they often buy as gifts.
Right. Well, the glass weaponry would be deeply appreciated.
Yeah, but I'm still not good enough to. I mean, I can't afford. It's 70 points, I think. I'm halfway there,
right?
More or less. And it's a lot of points to get there. But I'm going to bring. I'm going to make those things that I know. For example, maybe there is something made with blacksmithing or with glass blowing that may be useful to
Oh, hundreds of things.
Something they may value. So I have gifts, you
Hundreds of
know.
things. They have enough contact with the human areas that they have developed a taste for glass lamps, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And I'm going to keep a kind of a low profile
Mhm.
with them. I figured I'm going to come and use uh, Sisak, the name of the woman. Sorry,
Right. Sisiva. Right.
Ceciva's message as my,
Sure.
way to
Well,
get into.
right.
But I'm going to lay low after
Sure.
that. After they let me tag along,
Hmm.
I'm going to buy my time before I
Sure.
make my moves to the
Well,
leader.
here's it seems kind of interesting to me. Um, After just a little while there, you will discover that the plenty of the dusters in this tribe are, shall we say, inappropriately curious
Mm,
regarding you. You have external
okay.
genitals; they don't, for
Okay.
example.
Okay.
And so that draws the attention. All the female and the male dusters are like, look at that. So um, there's a few interests. I'm sure we can imagine, at least a few interesting glances and things like that. But
Yeah,
um,
that will make a few good scenes. But just one thing, I don't know if my character is capable of knowing this, but this isn't Itala's tribe. I mean, her son took over another tribe, if I understand it right.
well, this is yes, but this is the one he took over.
Okay, no,
Right,
perfect.
right.
It's yeah, just to
And also, I
understand
wouldn't say necessarily took
the
over.
geography.
There are the elders who technically run the place. He's just a very power. He's the war chief, and
Yeah,
is
yeah, it
and,
figures.
and is kicking ass as a war chief. So
Okay.
um, and
And
so
I also
right.
thinking that I'm, you know, trying to visualize things. These people are deadly and all of that, but they are kind of 1 foot shorter than me
Right, exactly.
at best.
Exactly.
So I'm
Yeah,
walking around, and
exactly. You are the
it's
biggest person there. There's no question about that.
yeah,
And so I think there's room, to say that you would be, when you get some more points and things like that, that you could throw some of them into language, picking up a few,
Mhm.
better words with
Yes,
Duster.
yes. Well,
And
technically speaking, I have 5 points unspent because
ooh,
I discovered tonight that the Ravers get 1 skill point per level bonus. So I'm going to do that
okay, no, that
precisely.
sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yes, you go right ahead and get so you picked up a little bit better Duster
yeah,
speaking, and at this point, it's easily and quickly decided that you're not man enough to go off with the war chiefs and do raiding and stuff like that, right?
yeah,
So therefore, you and they value skills of weapon making and things like that, and so they're you find a place. You find the you can keep busy. You can keep busy
yeah,
with weapons. They've got a lot of older weapons that they don't have the ability to maintain very well. So your ability to repair these, and their swords, the metal swords and stuff like that they
yeah.
have,
I'm very good at
yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah,
excellent. They are more than happy to have you, basically examine their tools, their metal tools, and their metal weapons, and keep you busy. So they find a use
yeah.
for you, and if in a tribal situation, if you have a use, everyone gets used to
Great.
you fairly fast. It's actually quicker than you may think. Going from being
Hmm.
an slightly exotic stranger, even an
Yeah,
ethnically bizarre one, going from there into, and also remember they have a lot of contact with the river communities. They're used to drivers. They know what they are. It's not a shock. Remember, the weird ones here are not drivers. The weird ones are half dusters,
yeah, yeah.
right?
And in fact, we don't have a single one.
Right, exactly. You've never. I mean, this woman
Yeah,
in the town.
there is just
She's a high class prostitute, right? And
yeah,
part of
yeah.
her part of her success is the fact that she can turn into a snake, right?
Yeah, I can
So,
imagine that.
right. So,
And one last thing before so I want to leave room for Sam, but I just need to visualize something, for my character, is that the human society, if I got it right, is kind of like Roman High Imperium kind of
No,
stuff.
actually, I think it's early pre-imperial. But go on.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically we are Bronze Age stuff, more or less. Those.
It's hard to say. If we go by the book, steel is around. I mean,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
civilized humans have water-powered forges and are able to get basic steel made.
yeah.
And I think that's
But
probably the case. Here, I suspect that bronze weapons are just as common, and that steel is probably carburized. I've been
mhm.
through this before. Helma's heard my little steel speech before, but suffice to say that until steel reaches a certain technological level,
Yeah.
bronze is better.
Yes, yes,
Right,
I agree.
right.
Yeah.
So the iron is the worst.
Yeah.
So if you don't can't make the steel consistently or well, the only reason you're using iron is because you can't get bronze because iron's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
slow in
that's the
comparison.
kind of the
Right,
space I figured I will be working in.
right,
Maybe
right,
I can do the iron stuff, and
right.
that's valuable to people.
Excellent.
The only thing I'm trying to figure out is that I did the kind of player thing, and I gave my character some combat skills, and I am rather good with a short sword, and I have some training in sword and shield, and I'm trying to figure out where I pick this stuff up. So I'm trying to figure is there is some kind of military service or if this is something I had to
Let's
pick up.
talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah.
So, Sam, we have neglected you horribly. This was supposed to be your segment, and I had to got all distracted by Draver body parts. So you go right ahead and tell me more about your situation as the huntress, because I looked at your character and you're right. You're not a real social duster. You're kind of
No.
yeah. You. There's a reason. I mean, your character looks like somebody who basically says, "Screw it, I'm going out there in the rocks and hunting lizards. I like it better out here." Right. So even in
Yeah.
the tribal context, you're not very social.
Yeah, and I think now, given what I know, like about the tribe I'm in, like as you've described, I'm picturing her being from like some smaller group of dusters that was kind of subsumed at some point by
Right.
this larger tribe. Like I was picturing a small cluster of people who were up until recently or however long ago they were like basically conquered, were entirely self-sufficient and were like just traveling hunters or something, like
Right.
maybe
Right.
a couple of families.
But
Yeah,
this
so I
but
think
their
she would have
hunting
a distinct
lands were in this area that they took over. So
right.
now you're officially part of them or else.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah, and I think it might be like noticeably. I was picturing them having like a different style of dress from the
Right.
other dusters. Like I was picturing them having like wearing more clothes, like a baby cloak and like more stuff that they. It would probably be designed to be easily slipped out of, like so they
Right.
could
Right.
not destroy their clothes when they become a snake. But yeah, so I'm picturing that they would look like you'd be able to see probably in this larger tribe like distinct smaller
Right.
clusters of
Right.
dusters that have just been like
Mm-hmm.
conquered. Yeah.
No, I think this sounds makes a lot of sense. I really like it. So the only thing I have to say is that when and if Fari starts making noises about interesting sand somewhere,
Mhm.
right? And when and if Farth begins to inquire, right, after that stuff, that uh, basically Sisavel himself is going to come to your parents or uncles or aunts, and make it clear that this driver needs to be taken off somewhere. This driver needs to be, this driver needs to go and look for his sands, and he will tell you or them where to go.
Right. Okay.
However, uh, you eventually, for either because you want to or because you're told, you're it.